To another exciting edition of Geekdom Q&A, where I answer your questions from the Ask FM. Remember, it's ask.fm/geekdom101. Go ahead and submit your questions and I will answer them to the best of my abilities. So we got 486, quite a bit. There's going to be some weeks, like I said before, where I'll be doing 2 Q&As. So just to kind of get the questions out of the queue. So submit your questions and I'll do my best to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'll try and do some research for you to see if I can get the answer depending on what the question is. But let's go ahead and get started without any further ado. But before I officially start, little sip of tea for the working man. All of you out there who have that 9 to 5 grind and you got to come home and you go to work and you spend your 8, 9, 10 hours there paying them gimmicks in the mail called bills, this drink is for you. It's good. Let's go ahead and do it. So, first question. So, is Roshi going to live forever? Roshi drank something called the immortality elixir. You talked about it in Dragon Ball. So, it's implied that he basically will stay the same age. As far as him living forever goes, I'm sure he can be killed because he is killed by, well, Piccolo didn't really kill him, but in the Piccolo fight, he does the Mafuba and it backfires and he dies. But other than that, it sounds like he is going to live forever. He just kind of doesn't age. So there you go. And it seems like based on Revival of F, he's actually getting stronger. Where does Tien live? What about Yamcha? We don't exactly know. It's implied that Tien, and we're talking about the end of the series here, because earlier in the series, Yamcha lived with Bulma. But by the end of the series, let me close out of this real quick. I'm downloading pictures and shit there that I'm using for videos. At the end of the series, Tien appears to live in like mountains and stuff like that with Chaozu. So that's apparently where he lives. We don't have too much of a backstory on that. Yamcha, I honestly have no idea. He definitely does not live in Capsule Corp anymore, like I said. I just assume he has a house somewhere. That's all I can think of. There's not really too much information on what happened to him. So you don't consider Jaco canon to the canon of Dragon Ball? Yes, I do actually. Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, I do consider being canon. But again, it's all about the canon debate. It's just, especially now with Dragon Ball Super, it's going to get worse as the time goes by. But Jaco is a manga that's drawn by Akira Toriyama. So if you want to talk about just original canon, obviously the 42 volumes of Dragon Ball are the original canon, but also Jaco was drawn as a manga, so perhaps that's also canon. I would say yes. I don't think it conflicts too much with the Dragon Ball story. However, Dragon Ball Minus might be a different story. So Toriyama has a team. I'm not exactly sure what you mean, but as far as I think what you're asking is if he has a team of people that help him with the manga, or if he did back in the 90s. He had his editors, Torishima, Yu Kondo, a few other guys. He always had his editors, and he's obviously got people, you know, in Bird Studios that are kind of his assistants and things like that. That's certainly a fact. But when Dragon Ball was being drawn and written, it was pretty much all Toriyama. I mean, that's pretty much it. As far as nowadays go, Toei's his team, really. He kind of just sends them stuff, and then they figure it out from there. Hope that answers your question. Why don't Goten and Trunks ever seem to age? Good question. What this question is referring to is the fact that in Battle of Gods, even though Battle of Gods, the movie, not the saga, takes place 4 years after the Buu saga, or I'm sorry, 4 years after the death of Kid Buu, Goten and Trunks still look the same. And some fans have actually thought that maybe they look even younger. I honestly, it's hard for me to give you a straight answer. Other than Toriyama doesn't really want to draw the teen versions just yet. I think we will see the teen version sometime in Dragon Ball Super, probably near the end. I certainly hope so. But basically, the reason they don't age is, I mean, they do age. It's not that noticeable, is because just like with Goku in Dragon Ball, and this is kind of explained more so in the guidebooks and kind of mostly assumed by fans. I don't believe this is actually stated, but Saiyajin, yeah, I'm saying it that way. They seem to stay short for the majority of their childhood, I guess, or whatever development. And then right around the age of like 16, 17, 15, they go through a growth spurt. And Goten and Trunks haven't really hit that yet. But again, that's more of a theory just based on how Goku and Gohan age. That's why. But they do age. If you watch the end of Dragon Ball Z, you will see Teen Trunks and Teen Gohan. I'm sorry, Teen Goten. And obviously, you know about Future Trunks. So he aged. Where was it stated that BOG was set 4 years after the Buu? I believe in one of the interviews before the film came out. I'm trying to remember exactly when, and I honestly, off the top of my head, do not remember. You may want to go to the KANZENSHUU and check the guide for Battle of Gods. I know it's in there, but it was stated that it's 4 years after Buu. I think it was in an interview before the movie came out. Definitely not in the movie, though. Shouldn't Vegeta consider himself the king of all Saiyans? Well, and yes, I said Saiyan that time. Well, a lot of people have questioned about, have talked about this and questioned this because obviously, you know, King Vegeta is dead, so that would kind of automatically promote him into being king. Some fans have speculated that he doesn't want to refer to himself as the king because he has so much respect for his father, I suppose, that he doesn't want to take that away from him because the position of king was kind of unjustly taken away from King Vegeta, you know, when Freeza killed him. So that's one theory, but there's really nothing to back that up. But it makes sense, right? Like, that's kind of my answer. That kind of does make sense. So there you go. This is a good question right here. Vegeta has always seemed to care about his pride, but didn't he technically lose his pride a long time ago when he was taking orders from Frieza? Very, very valid point to a degree. He still had his pride, and that's kind of what bothered him about being ordered around by Frieza. In the scene where Frieza kills Vegeta on Namek, and he's giving that speech to Goku, you know, he talks about kind of the fact that Frieza killed, you know, the entire race and his father and Goku's father and all that. But he said what bothered him the most is the fact that he had to take orders from him. So the way it's portrayed in the anime, it really seems like Vegeta hated taking orders from Frieza. He hated it. But it's almost one of those things where he sort of had to do it because he wasn't powerful enough to revolt. And my guess, and this is kind of me thinking fourth dimensionally here, my guess is that kind of when he met Goku and saw how strong Goku could have gotten as a lower level warrior, and when he learned the ability to hide his energy, which he learned in the fight with the Earthlings in the Vegeta saga, I think that gave him a little more confidence to where he felt that maybe he could take on Frieza. That's my guess. Another theory that I've heard from a buddy of mine named Zam, or is it Zam? I think it's Zam. Zam, you know who you are. He says that, I just call him Zam, so hopefully I'm saying it right, but he thinks that Vegeta crying when Frieza killed him, he was actually crying because he was so mad that it was Goku who surpassed him so much. And I think there is something to that, but just based on the dialogue, Vegeta was very, very pissed and very emotional that he had to take orders from this guy and thought that he had it. He thought he had it there, guys. Go back and watch that episode. He has that awesome power-up where he has the golden aura, but he doesn't have the full transformation mastered, and Frieza just eats him alive. I guess it's one of those things where he came so close, but just no cigar. And then, of course, it was Goku. How is it that in Battle of Gods, Gohan was wearing like a suit, then he goes to Great Saiyaman costume, and then he goes to his dad's clothes? I have no idea. I thought it was kind of funny, though, that he switches costume so fast. I mean, you could assume that maybe Goku and the gi, Goku's gi or whatever, the ones that look like Goku's gi, was under the Saiyaman costume, but we don't know that for certain. During Piccolo and 17's fight, Krillin, Tien, Roshi, Chi-Chi were all on Master Roshi's island along with Yamcha, but Yamcha was never seen in the scene. They showed him in the prior scene, but when it went back, he was gone. It's like he disappeared. I'd have to go back and watch that episode again. I'm actually close to rewatching it again. But that sounds like an animation flub up. They do that once in a while where a character will be in one spot than the other. It sounds like, just from the way you're describing it, that's probably just an animation flub up. Maybe he went to go take a piss. Who knows? Why didn't Goku just use his instant transmission teleport Trunks to the Capsule Corp to get the Dragon Radar? I don't know. Hey, Dragon Ball's not perfect. Has Piccolo achieved his strongest capable form or powers, or can he be stronger? I'm not going to spoil Revival of F, but it certainly appears like he's not going to get any stronger. Sorry, QAAMAN. I would assume that he would have to maybe fuse with another Namekian. But of course, because he's not like Vegeta and Goku, he doesn't have the whole Zenkai boost thing where every time they fight they get stronger, nor has he unlocked any kind of god power. So unless he's, I would hope so, but it doesn't appear like he's any stronger in Revival of F than he was in the Buu Saga at all. So, was Gohan stronger than Krillin in the Namek arc? I do believe so. In fact, he was actually significantly stronger. Well, it depends on what part of the Namek arc you're talking about, but yes, actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure he was stronger than Krillin the entire arc. But of course, with Gohan, he has to flare up. You know, the rage boost is really what makes him powerful. What's a Dragon Ball product that every hardcore fan must own? Well, I would say the Dragon Boxes. The problem is that they're very, very expensive and very, very hard to find without paying a pretty penny for them. I think in fact, the next question is how can I get the Dragon Boxes, which I'm going to answer in a moment. The Dragon Boxes is a product that I think every hardcore fan must own, in my opinion. Because it's just the entire series. I mean, you should have, if you're a hardcore Dragon Ball fan, you should have Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z at least. I don't think you should have to have GT, but I think those are kind of must-haves, just those two. But fuck it, get GT too, as well as all the movies, just because it's good to have the whole collection. And also, in my opinion, you should also have the manga. I think a lot of Dragon Ball fans have the anime and not the manga. But also, to add a little side note to this, let's say that you're a hardcore fan and you have both, I think you should invest in getting Jaco the Galactic Patrolman. Definitely. I've said it before. It's a great book. Very cheap. It's about $13 on eBay. Pick it up, yo. It's worth every penny. Now, to answer this next question here, which was how can I get Dragon Boxes, you got to pay a lot of money, brother. Unless you get lucky and find them on like a flea market somewhere for $10 or something like that, or you find them in a dumpster somewhere or something of the sort, you're going to be paying a lot of money for the Dragon Boxes. And the thing is, it's one of those things where I really wish that everybody who liked Dragon Ball had an opportunity to buy Dragon Boxes, but they're out of print. And as a result of them being out of print, I mean, there's nothing that can be done. It's just very rare. Let's all hope that Funimation not only puts out the Dragon Boxes again and reissues them, but let's hope they put out the Dragon Ball Dragon Boxes and the movies as well. I really do hope that we see that soon, because honestly, guys, it's like I have the Z Dragon Boxes and I have bootlegs of the Dragon Ball Dragon Boxes, but I don't have the official Dragon Ball Dragon Boxes, and I want to own the official Dragon Ball Dragon Boxes. The Dragon Ball Z ones I do have, though, and they were on sale when they first came out on Right Stuff for like $30. I think it was like $35. I remember at Best Buy they were like $80, and to be honest, paying $80 for them is worth it compared to paying $300 like most of them are available for now. Who is older, Old Supreme Kai, Majin Buu, or Beerus? Well, originally I would say Old Supreme Kai, but that's changed recently because Majin Buu, according to what Toriyama said in an interview for one of the full-color comics, Majin Buu has actually existed since the beginning of time. I really don't like that retcon. I like the idea that BBD created him, but according to Toriyama, Buu has always been there since the beginning of time, and BBD kind of manifested him. So that tells me that he's the oldest character. I mean, even more so than Beerus. However, Beerus was definitely around during the Old Supreme Kai era because Beerus is the guy who sealed Old Supreme Kai in the Z Sword. So it's Boo. In this case, it's Boo. And followed by Beerus and maybe Old Supreme Kai. Or maybe these two are tied. We don't really know how long Beerus has been around. He is old, though. Why didn't Goku and company ever got to Fortune Sahaba and asked what the future was like after Dragon Ball and during Dragon Ball Z? I don't know. I do not know the answer to that. That would have been kind of cool if they did that. There was, of course, a scene in the anime, one of my favorite scenes ever, when Goku sticks his head. He's up in Korin Tower during the Tile Pai Pai fight. He sticks his head inside of this jar, and he sees a glimpse of the future, and he sees Baba. It's a very creepy scene, but it was awesome foreshadowing. Just awesome stuff. He sees Baba, and he sees Gohan with the rabbit mask or whatever, the cat mask or whatever it is, which is a preview of the next saga. So they already had the whole thing planned out. Just fantastic stuff here. Who would win, Freeza, Dodoria, Zarbon, and Kui versus Cooler, Salza, Dodoria, and Knees? Cooler and his army would totally win completely. They're just, these three guys are more powerful. I mean, dude, Kui was a pussy. So, yeah, Cooler wins on this one. Now, if it's Fakata no F Frieza, forget it. It's Frieza. But, I mean, series Frieza versus series Cooler or movie Cooler, Cooler wins. How strong do you think Korin or Kami were? Well, Korin was more of like an old sage type Yoda character. I would like to think that Korin was more powerful when he was younger. You know what I mean? He was kind of like Yoda. I almost feel like, Yoda was in his prime when he was younger. And then when we see him in Empire Strikes Back, he's kind of an old, codger. That's kind of how Korin is. But Korin's very wise. Kami, very strong. Of course, by the time we get to Dragon Ball Z, it doesn't matter. But if you watch the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, when he inhabits the body of Shen, he pretty much just murked like Yamcha and a bunch of guys. So he's pretty strong. But once we get to the Dragon Ball Z characters, he does kind of fall behind. I would say, starting with the Garlic Jr. movie into Radix, he's just irrelevant as far as power goes. Let's keep going. Does Battle of Gods with Lord Beerus and Whis contradict the ending to Dragon Ball Z, like at the tournament with Oob? Like, Goku was looking forward to fighting the reincarnation of Oob at the tournament, but now he's fought Lord Beerus, who's way stronger than Boo. I mean, I don't think it contradicts. I think Goku's just looking to fight no matter what. You know what I mean? Even if it's Beerus or Boo. The thing is, Super is going to throw all this out the window, so I don't really know what's going to happen. Like, I can't really answer this question, but I may be able to actually give you an answer in like a year when Super's over, or maybe 2 years, or whenever the hell it's over. Maybe I'll give you an answer then. But I just think that, let's pretend that let's take Super out of the equation, and all we have is Battle of Gods. And I even forgot to know F. Once Beerus went back to bed, I think Goku was just looking forward to more competition, and he knew that Oob would be it. So, I guess Goku just wanted to kind of manifest that raw power that Oob had. I don't think it's really a contradiction, but I do see your point in that. Why would he want to fight this guy if he just fought this guy? But maybe this guy, something happened to him. We're going to find out in Super. Bulma has a sister called Tights who appeared in Jaco the Galactic Patrolman, but why didn't she appear in Z? Well, she didn't appear in Z or in Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball was finished in 1995 and Jaco was written in 2013. That's your answer. Toriyama did not think up Tights until then. Now, if you're asking why, like what happened to Tights, which I think that's really the answer that the question you're asking. If you read Jaco, it's implied that her and Jaco went around space traveling. Will she be in Super? Maybe. I don't think so, but it is a possibility she at least will make a cameo. I really hope so. The thing that is weird is I can understand that Tights kind of left the Earth with Jaco and then never saw her family again, which is kind of weird. But what doesn't make sense is why didn't her family ever mention her at all? That's weird to me, but whatever. That's the answer, bro. Jaco came after. Who is Vegeta's mom? Nobody knows. Does Goku die at the end of GT? Boy, that's a loaded question. There's actually an entire article on Kanzenshuu where they talk about like they analyze as fans the ending of GT and whether or not Goku died. Some people actually believe that Goku died when Omega Shenron blew him up with the Revenge Death Ball or whatever the hell. That like he actually died and got brought back to life. I don't believe that to be the case, but I've seen some theories about that. The end of GT is meant to be purposely ambiguous. I've always seen it as he fused the dragon and the dragon kind of disappeared to a different realm to prevent these issues from happening. Kind of like how, you know, the whole end of GT kind of tries to tell you that the use of the Dragon Ball is kind of unfair because they use the Dragon Ball so often in Dragon Ball, you know, and Z and GT that it's almost like cheating. Like, you know, you're using the Dragon Balls to bring people back to life. You can't do that. You know, that goes against the laws of nature. They violate those laws. And as a result of that, you know, the negative energy got built up. I did a whole video about Dragon Balls on this channel, including the GT balls. And so, you know, the negative energy got built up and then it created the evil dragons. Well, it seems like what happens at the end of GT is the regular dragon comes back and he says, okay, we can't be around here anymore because Goku and the dragon are the main reasons why Earth is in so much trouble, according to what is implied. And then, of course, Goku disappears and then comes back as an adult 100 years later or whatever. I don't know if it's 100. I think it is 100 years to see Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. continue the legacy of them two fighting forever. It's a good little ending. It's kind of like the Harry Potter ending in some ways. You know what I mean? Does he die? I don't think he dies. Why don't fans like Dragon Ball Minus? I can't speak for the fans. I can only speak for myself. I personally do not like Dragon Ball Minus because it's, first of all, it contradicts the anime because Goku was an infant, not the anime, the manga, the original manga, because Goku came to Earth as a baby. He was an infant in the Dragon Ball manga, but in Dragon Ball Minus, he's 3 years old. That kind of changes things. I don't remember in the manga Goku being 3 years old. I remember him being like couple weeks, maybe even less than that. So that's a contradiction right there. Totally changes Goku's age in many ways. But then again, maybe it doesn't, but it's still something I don't like. Also, the character of Bardock is very different than the Bardock TV special, and most fans love the Bardock TV special. That's the thing. That's one reason why a lot of fans don't like Dragon Ball Minus, because it overwrites that TV special. And let's be honest, folks, the TV special is awesome, and Dragon Ball Minus is nowhere close to being as awesome as a TV special. So that's one reason. Also, I felt that the Minus was very, very empty and it wasn't even a story. Like, it really wasn't. It was like Bardock's going back to Planet Vegeta. Something bad's going to happen. Let's send Goku away. They kind of did the Superman thing, which, you know, that wasn't really the original intent, but they did that. It's just empty. It's like 10 pages of nothing. Like, it accomplishes nothing. It's just, it sucks. It's pointless. Like, I wish Toriyama had never done it, to be honest with you. Throughout Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta says that only Goku and him were the last true full Saiyans, yet in Son Goku and Friends Returns, he states Tarble is his brother. Tarble is his brother, and that's kind of it. Like, this is one of those questions like the Jaco one. Why is Bulma Sister never mentioned? Well, why is Vegeta's brother never mentioned? Because Toriyama didn't come up with these characters until after the manga was done. Toriyama didn't think up Tarble until 2012 or 2011 or whatever. That's why. As far as an in-storyline explanation for why Vegeta never mentioned Tarble, my only guess is that maybe he had heard that Tarble died, maybe like sometime before like Dragon Ball Z, like, you know, when he was younger. Maybe somebody told him that Tarble died, and he just assumed that he was dead, just never thought twice. That could be it. Last question here for this one. Where can I purchase some DBZ posters? eBay. I used to buy them off of a couple of anime websites, but that was like 10 years ago. I would check on eBay. That's usually the best one. Also, there's one other website. What the hell is it called? That website that sells stuff from Japan? CD Japan. CD Japan used to have them. I don't know if they still do, but that's probably the best place to look. Or you can just Google DBZ posters. I'm sure you'll find something. That's it for this edition of Geekdom Q&A. I'll come back with another one very soon. We'll answer more of these questions. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great day. Catch you down the road.